What if you and I are walking next to each other on a sidewalk? We pass by each other in opposite directions. We catch a glance of each other, but not enough to notice the specific details of each other's face. We notice that the other person's rushed and just keeps sprinting, sprinting. And we're doing the same thing. Do we notice the specific details about that person? Any details that hint at where that person came from? Say that further along, on a bus, say you and I. Let's say you and I passing. Let's say you and I sidewalk, we pass by each other, but not enough to notice each other's specific, intricate details. Same bus. We're seated next to each other because it's rush hour. There are no open seats available. You and I both stare at the same fixed position on a window. And we still don't talk to each other. We don't look at each other. We don't really acknowledge each other's presence. We're just there. We're just there in fixed position. Judging through beforehand. We can guess. We can guess how that person's posture is. If they're confident, maybe they're confident, or maybe it's a projection. Maybe it's projecting an image, something to hide what actually happened beforehand. Let's say that you imagine that I was being confident on that bus. Would you be able to tell that I'm a suicide attempt survivor? This video series, the purpose of this is to eliminate the stigma attached to suicide attempts. Shame is one of the biggest things that someone who's a survivor of a suicide attempt goes through. The shame of admitting that it happened, the shame of seeking help afterwards, the shame of facing all the mental mayhem that almost took your life, the shame of finding meaning in a life that was almost lost. The purpose of this video series is to eliminate the shame attached to it by sharing my story first off, because there's no way that I can work to eliminate the stigma attached to life after a suicide attempt unless I share my story. So my story goes that I always knew I had depression and anxiety, always knew it. When I was in 3rd grade, there's a church that I go to. There is a church I go to. And these pamphlets, one of them was for gambling addiction, one of them was for divorce, and there was a depression one underneath it. So I grabbed it and I read it outside the courtyard after the sanctuary service was over. And the next morning I went to school and I brought that brochure to my math class. After a few minutes, my teacher was wondering what was going on, but didn't directly ask me what's up. So I got sent to a counselor to talk about what was going on. And I just kept saying, I don't know. And I always knew that I had depression and anxiety. Always knew it. Going forward, money is something that's always triggered me. It's always been a worry about me, always been something that I've worried about, that I've thought about constantly. And the event that happened, the collapsing trigger, my suicide attempt was July 2015. I was expected to move to a college that I dreamed of. I was expected to move there independently, to leave my family behind, leave my friends behind, and move to this place on my own and establish my own life. Freedom is what I feared. Freedom is what perpetuated the anxiety that I had. And along with the anxiety that I had beforehand, in order to counteract my depression, I would drink heavily into energy drinks. I would chug down Monster energy drinks. I'm not condemning Monster Energy right now. I'm not condemning anyone who drinks energy drinks, but I'm saying in my case, in the case that I have, Monster energy drinks cause depression to go along, no, anxiety to go alongside depression. My overconsumption of energy drinks caused my anxiety to team up with depression. And when I found out a $20,000 loan didn't go through for me to go to the college of my dreams, to find out that half of a school year wasn't accounted for, that was the collapsing trigger. So the event specifically that happened, the event was after I got home. After I got home from orientation was in Chicago. I live in Rochester, Minnesota, so about 6 hours away. After I got home, I took headache pills because I had a headache. I took as many as I could to ease my quote unquote headache. Then that turned into an addiction. And within a week, that addiction went full storm into a suicide attempt. What I remember is I took as many as I could. Later on, I started taking alcohol and drug counseling classes because I couldn't go to this college, so I had to refigure my major. And I thought, hey, I went through an overdose, so I know something about alcohol and drug counseling, or something about drug addictions, because I went through it. And I found out that the amount of pills that I took was enough to stop the human heart, enough to stop the human brain. It's enough to stop the human body from functioning. I knew I took enough. And as within a minute of taking enough, I crossed the threshold from my living room to my bedroom and collapsed. My whole body shook. My back violently hit the ground. My head started flailing, shaking. My family passed by because they heard a loud thud. And they assumed it was a panic attack because the same symptoms existed. The same symptoms happened. It looked like a panic attack. And then my head started flailing violently, started shaking violently to the point where I had a seizure. My family was in full watch of what was going on. And for some reason, after I came back, it's a surreal feeling when you feel the last heartbeats. I felt my last heartbeats, and still my body wouldn't give. It wouldn't surrender. It would not stop. There was something keeping me alive that day. So then I went to a therapist. And the shocking thing is that I was asked the question of, have you ever thought about suicide or ever attempted? And I answered no. I answered no, despite having the most tragic day of my life happen because of that event. I lied and answered no. The question is why? Why did I answer no? The answer is that I felt so much shame attached to that event. I had to forfeit my attendance to the college that I dreamed of going. I had to call my roommates at the time and say, I won't be attending this college. You're going to have another person filling my vacant room. I had to call my friends I was going to see at that college. I had to call Resident Life to cancel my lease for my room. I had to cancel all the classes I wanted to take. I remember in class in a senior year, what I would do is if there were free 5 minutes, I would search up Google Maps, the addresses of grocery stores, movie theaters, anything around my apartment. And now I had to forfeit that because of my overdose suicide attempt. I bring all this up because this very room is in the very building that I had to forfeit because of my overdose suicide attempt. And to anyone who's ever gone through a suicide attempt and is trying to find the meaning in life that was almost lost, I want you to know that you have strength inside of you. You have hope and courage inside of you that is unimaginable, that is incomprehensible. Never forget that. Never forget that you have hope inside your heart. Because for some reason, my heart wouldn't give out. For some reason, your heart, your body, your brain would not give out. And you're still here. And I know the beginning of this video started off fumbling, started off stumbling, started off going through words, and it wasn't as organized. But this is the part that I want you to understand. That all the shame that I felt the day that I denied that I went through a suicide attempt. If you're going through the same thing, I want you to know. Not just to know, because know is knowledge. Knowledge can fade. Knowledge is just recognizing. I want you to internalize with conviction the hope and strength and courage and tenacity and determination and drive that is inside your heart. because you are still living. And I want you to know that. Moving forward with these videos, the purpose of these videos is to slowly erode the stigma that caused me to lie to my therapist, lie to my family, to lie to my friends, to lie to everyone that was actually a suicide attempt. I didn't acknowledge it until probably 6 months afterwards. The purpose of these videos is to erode that stigma. So thank you for holding on through the stumbling and the fumbling that happened. First off, it's the beauty of live streaming, right? I can't edit this. Streaming, because that's the most vulnerable way that I can do this. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Thank you for holding on beside me. Thank you for your support. Your support through this is my strength. And through that also, I want to support you. If there's anything that you want me to work with you with, if you want to discuss with me personally, put a comment below. You know what? I'm at a risk. My phone number is 507-218-6091. Again, my phone number is 507-218-6091. If you need somebody to text, to call, anything about this, feel free to reach out to me. This is Christian Nesbitt signing off, saying thank you for tuning in to the first episode of this series I like to call Life After a Suicide Attempt. Thank you for tuning in. Good night. I'll see you next time.